Lonely Monk Productions. I don't know if y'all have heard Dancer by Idols yet, but yo,
that's my Jawn! Hey yo, displace the guilt.
What's good, friends and family, neighbors near and far? Welcome to an all-new episode of the Yo, That's My Jawn podcast. The podcast, website, brand, movement, way of life dedicated to the embrace and championing of your passions. I'm your host, Nate Runkle, a.k.a. John Berryman, a.k.a. Nate 3.0, back at it again with yet another episode of the podcast. As always, I hope this podcast finds you all in good health and in good spirits. On today's episode, I chatted up with Shawn Hennessey. To call Shawn a drummer doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of the incredible percussive talent and knowledge this cat has. I've been wanting to chat with him for a while about all of this, drums, world music, and just his journey in music. And we do all of that, and that is coming up in a minute. But first, hey yo, what's new, kids? Bunch of stuff going on in the Runkle sphere right now. Where to start? First, a new show. You heard me. I got a new show for you. I'm producing a tabletop RPG actual play podcast alongside my friend and colleague Jillian Ashley Blair Ivy called Oops All Bards. And the first episode is due out this Thursday, October 26th. What happens when 5 bards are tasked to save the realm because all of the heroes are imprisoned in an energy wall? Well, it's hijinks, my friend. Hijinks ensue. The teaser is up right now wherever you get your podcast from, and more info can be found at www.oopsallbards.com. I am super excited to be able to finally share this with you. The pod is part of the Porch Room Network on Spreaker Prime, and those are the cats behind the incredible Mission Rejected podcast, and we are so happy to be working with them on this project. So go, subscribe to Oops All Bards, and let us know what you think. You know, what else? Oh, the website. We got a website redesign up. Was it planned? Not really. Did it happen because I accidentally deleted the old one? You betcha. Yeah, okay. I goofed up and I deleted the template to the website, so I kind of had to start from scratch. But it turned out to be a blessing in disguise because I love this new page. So go check it out. Hit up www.yothat'smyjawn.com and follow the link to the webpage and check out the new wares. And while you're there, if you haven't done so already, sign on up for the mailing list. Updates once a week, delivered straight to your inbox. What more can you ask for? www.yothat'smyjawn.com. And of course, last but not least, you gotta follow us on the socials at Yo That's My Jawn on all of them. We're there. Give us a follow. All right, I'm going to take a brief ad break here, and then we'll be back with my interview with Shawn Hennessey. Yo, That's My Jawn is brought to you by Liquid IV. Guys, it is festival season. And you know me, I love a festival. And the secret to enjoying a festival is to stay hydrated. Liquid IV has you covered while you prep before, power through to the headliner, and recover after the weekend. Liquid IV hydrates 2 times faster than water alone with 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks. Man, I love Liquid IV. It comes in a convenient packaging and it's tasty. When you see me at the Exponential Music Festival this fall, you know that I will have Liquid IV on me. And it comes in 12 delicious, refreshing flavors to keep your hydration routine exciting. All right, strawberry used to be my favorite, but they have this new one. It's strawberry lemonade, and it is a banger. 1 stick of Liquid IV in 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone. It's non-GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. Liquid IV believes that equitable access to clean and abundant water is the foundation of a healthier world. So Liquid IV partners with leading organizations for innovative solutions to help communities protect both their water and their futures. To date, Liquid IV has donated over 39 million servings in 50-plus countries around the world. Okay, and you can get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use the promo code YTMJ at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using the promo code YTMJ at liquidiv.com. Do it, and let's get our fests on. My guest today is a singer, a songwriter, and a Grammy-nominated percussionist. His two passion projects over the past decade have been Hennessey Bonfire, lush, organic, original songs soulfully rooted against the backdrop of world rhythms and sounds, and Lena Song, a genre-defying fusion of traditional and contemporary Afro-Cuban music, the likes of which have landed him on major Spotify playlists alongside world music icons. He performs regularly with a variety of notable national and local acts, including bassist Bakithi Kumalo of Paul Simon's band, Uprooted featuring Michael Glebicki of Rusted Root, Bollywood star Jeffrey Iqbal, Trinadelphia, Ryan Tennis, The Disco Biscuits, and our pal Don McCloskey. Folks, it is my honor to welcome to the show, Shawn Hennessey. Ladies and gentlemen, I am joined today by the great Shawn Hennessey. Shawn, thank you for joining me on Yo, That's My Jawn.
Oh, man, thanks for having me, Nate. Really appreciate it.
So I'm super excited to talk, and I always like to kind of talk to musicians that I like and artists that I like, and I always like to start things off kind of just really random things that kind of connect me to them. And for
Cool.
you, like I first saw you playing percussion for Don McCloskey, and then found out about the Hennessey Bonfire project, and you know, started checking out the albums and stuff, and I was like, oh my God, like, why are you sitting in the back? Like, get up front, my friend. Like, this is where it's at. But one of the great things of researching all of this is finding out that we have mutuals, and
Cool.
so we have a mutual in Zill from Pawn Shop Roses.
Zill Fessler.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, I played with Zill. I played with Zill with the Michael Glebicki band, and for a while. And do you know that guy?
From Rusted Root.
Yeah. And I haven't seen him in a couple of years since he stopped doing the gig. I actually haven't been doing the gig much in the last year or so, but we had some good times together. Yeah,
That's
Zill.
awesome.
And how do you know him from?
Just through Pawn Shop Roses. My buddy Mike
Cool.
Walsh was their bass player for a while, for a good stretch, and then I know
Nice.
Paul and all those guys are great.
Nice. Well, I want to see Zill. We had a really good time.
Did you get a chance? I don't know if you got a chance to hear the Nick Perry and the Underground Thieves that he's playing with. That album's pretty dope.
I know that no, I haven't heard that album, but I do know about Nick Perry. I'm sure, and I've seen some videos. Yeah, Nick's doing really well, right? Like,
Yeah.
I imagine, yeah, the band's doing really great. But yeah, I will put it on my list. Absolutely. Yeah, I've got to
awesome.
get into it.
So let's tell all these folks a little bit about yourself. Where'd you grow up?
Northeast Philly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Northeast Philly, man. Born in Ronhurst, moved to Brookhaven, and then when I was about 15, moved to Germantown,
Okay.
and then from there, up through college and all that, I left Philly and then came back. But the original roots, I don't really have the accent anymore, but I am a Northeast Philly boy for sure.
That's what's up. So when you were younger, like, what was playing around the house? What kind of music were you surrounded by?
Oh, everything. My parents were avid. There's no silence in the house or anywhere. It was just like CDs constantly spinning. Elton John. A lot of Billy Joel, Elton John, a lot of women in music. My parents, I have two women for parents, and we had the lesbian music sing-along scenes for every holiday. So it was like Christmas was, we had the Indigo Girls, I'm trying to put some stuff together. Carole King, Sean Colvin, whole Patty Griffin scene. it was just like, I mean, everything. James Taylor, of course, Breakfast with the Beatles. I grew up with Helen and Harvey in the morning, every morning. I don't know if you remember that. It's a while back, but they had their morning radio show. I think it was WMGK or something.
Yeah.
And so we grew up with Harvey in the morning, and so my mom followed Helen Light's career, like all the way up until when she retired, and huge fan of Helen, and I am too. But everything that my mom loved and Mary Beth loved, I loved.
Yeah.
And it's rich. It's a rich musical house. Lots of singing, lots of parties, and so I got to say, I mean, but it was mostly American music. It was mostly like it wasn't very like culturally diverse, like from other parts of the world. I moved a lot into world music later on my own, but it was American pop, folk, a little bit of jazz, maybe, but mostly American pop, folk, rock kind of thing.
Yeah. Did you start playing music at a young age or
13?
Like 13. Yeah, that's about what.
13. Got my first guitar, acoustic, Sears brand, and started studying the Nirvana Unplugged. Video VHS that I had, and just learned all those tunes. I was big into grunge when I was in the early 90s. I'm a 1980 born, so I guess I was like in my early teens when I was learning how to play all that stuff.
What can you remember the first song from that Unplugged that you could pull off?
Probably Come As You Are, because that was the easy one. You need like 2 strings to play, for sure. But I was always into those Meat Puppet tunes that they had on those. I was always like, I want to learn how to play that. I was like, I never even think I ever looked up the originals. Like those were always the covers. And then All Apologies was another easy one to hack through. But I was definitely studying. After I learned a few chords, I was going back to the original Nirvana records and dying for an electric guitar, because this was just like a Sears brand guitar that you could hardly tune. Those rusty tuning pegs. And eventually, one Christmas, got a black Ibanez.
Oh, nice.
And then it was just never stopped playing that.
That's what's up. When did you start kind of like writing stuff?
Right away. As soon as I think I might have wrote stuff when the Sears brand. I remember the first song I wrote was about a TV show. It was just like about a character in a TV show. It had 3 notes, all open strings, called You, Sir. And I even, with my first band, I took that song. It was like one of the first songs we played as a band. I started a punk band in 94, maybe 95, out in the suburbs in Southampton, Feasterville area. I had some friends that I played ice hockey with, and I would go to their houses on the weekends. I found, you play guitar, you play drums, you play bass. Let's get a band together. And we were called Mooney, and we played at a lot of the youth centers and just wherever you could play as a teenager in the suburbs. And I lived in the Northeast, so I was on SEPTA, like back and forth constantly to Trevose, Trevose station. And that first song, You Sir, was like one of the first tunes Mooney played. And I was in punk and into punk for a while. Did you ever get into any punk rock?
I've been I like to say I've put my toe in a little bit of everything. Yeah, I actually have recently kind of rediscovered a bunch of my old punk songs in an old binder.
Nice. That you wrote.
That I wrote, yeah. And like some of them like kind of go. So I've been like thinking about doing this like either acoustic punk album of just songs I wrote when I was a teenager, or putting like my old band together and trying to do it that way. But
that's fun.
Punk and hardcore, like I don't know what it is about adolescence and like kind of puberty and like just that, like it just kind of scratches an itch that just keeps building when you're that age. And like I was in, man, like, American Legions all the time, and VFWs and all those kind of like
right, exactly,
basement gigs and all.
Yeah, Oh, sorry, something just fell over. What was that? What was the Unitarian Church that they had punk shows on downtown? Was it the Unitarian Church? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the first Unitarian Church.
Yeah. Those are the days, man.
I went to see.
I love that. Yeah.
I went to see Catbite there actually last November or something like that, and it was the first time.
They're still having shows there?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
And it was like the first time I went there in a very, very long time, and I was just like, oh, I'm too old for this. Like it's too close. It's too hot. I'm covered in sweat. We got to get out of here. Like
I know. Yeah, no, it was definitely a sweaty time. But those were the days, man. Those were the days when it was just music was everything. And of course you had school and you tried to like do your best in school, but you just prayed for those weekends to get together and play.
Yeah. Really, the how long did that band last, the high school band?
It was really only the first couple years of high school, and then I kind of stopped. We put out a couple cassettes, like we had 2 albums maybe of songs, because recently, right before the pandemic, I did get back together with the band because a couple of the guys, one of them moved to Mount Airy, Tim Goff, Frank Mallon, Frank Rich, and Charlie all stayed up in that area, Feasterville, Trevo, Southampton area. But we got together and had this like epic reunion studio moment. We were like, we're gonna re-record these tunes, and then the pandemic hit like the next week. And so we're still in touch, and we plan on doing some stuff together. But it was something that happened. I think we had maybe 2 or 3 years together, I would say. And it's hard to say the exact years. But once I changed like where I lived, I moved when I was 15. I moved to Germantown, started going to Germantown Friends School, and there it was like I didn't see those guys. I stopped playing. So my ice hockey rink burnt down.
Oh, Jesus.
And that was right when I got the guitar. So it was like I was doing sports a lot. Ice hockey rink burnt down. Electric guitar came, and then it was just like I didn't go there much anymore. And I was with Don. Don and I have an interesting connection because he's from up the Bristol area, and I was on the Bristol Blazers, which was the ice hockey team up in Bristol, even though I lived like right in the Northeast on the edge. So we have that strange, fun connection. So anyway, that was a couple years. And when I got to Germantown Friends, it was just I didn't see those guys anymore. So we started a new band in high school. That was like my real high school band from 9th through 12th. This was pre-high school. I think this was grade school, Mooney.
Okay.
And high school band was called 1208. And we had a good run, maybe 5 years. We did all through high school, and then went to college, realized we weren't doing very well, and then took a year off and moved to Burlington, Vermont together to write music. 1999 about.
Okay.
Yeah, proud of that band. Members of that band, Dan Schwartz, who is Danny Black, who is in Good Old War. Andy Vick, who lives in LA now. He's like and in the entertainment industry out there, doing really well. And Eric Hickey, music therapist, now lives in Portland, Oregon. Best friends forever, always. Yeah.
That's killer. So that the 1208 and the Mooney stuff, have you digitized any of that stuff and thrown it up on SoundCloud or anything, or?
Mooney has been digitized there. I think there might be some online. 1208. Yeah, I was like an obsessive collector of audio and media. And so I definitely, why have I not thought about doing, or maybe I never put it up and released it on Spotify or anything. But maybe I will. There is one Burlington show that I have live at Club 242 up in Burlington that I think, I should release that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was 4-track days. I mean, it was like in the Burlington year that we did was a year of like incredible growth as a person, as a musician, as a person. You're like living in this freezing winter with like 4 dudes in an apartment that was for 2 people. And you're just like living every day, waking up, living, breathing music, writing so much. And so much changed up there for me. It was an amazing experience. And 1208 is a special number. And so actually one of the first songs I ever really wrote was called 1208.
Okay.
And that's what the band was named after. And it, it's kind of embarrassing, but it's coming out like next week or tomorrow. Tomorrow it's coming out. The song is so old, Nate. I mean, I wrote this song in high school about the girl that I first kissed, like my first love. And I kissed her when we were, she was leaving for a week or a weekend. Who knows? It was like life or death, I was like, bye, I love you. And then I like looked at the digital clock and I was like, in my car, I was like, oh, it's her car. I didn't drive. I was like, oh, it's 12:08. Okay. And then she left and then she came back, however long. And I wrote the song while she was away. And then when we got in the car again, and I was like, oh, I missed you. And it was 12:08 again.
No
At the
way.
moment, those moments. And so this song I wrote while she was away, pop punk tune, very upbeat, very ska. I'd say pop punk ska tune. And I never recorded it all these years. And finally it's coming out on like now, I think I'm going to check. It might have come out. I think it's coming out tomorrow at 12:08 p.m. a.m. And so I did release it already. Like if you search for it online under my name, Shawn Hennessey, you will see 12:08. But in making the new record, Awake on the Boulevard, this was one of the ones that was going to be on it. But it was so different than the album that I decided to keep it back and hold it back and then release it as a single and I remastered it. So because I had released it 2 years ago and didn't make a big fuss about it, but now it's been remastered by Tom Spiker and it sounds way better. And so that's coming out. It's a standalone, stand on its own song. There's not many other songs that I wrote that sound like this.
Oh, that's what's up, man. I can't wait to hear that. I'm
it's a fun tune.
Check that out.
Man.
So you're still playing guitar at that point. When does percussion and drums kind of enter the picture?
Right. Yeah. In Burlington, I was, I would always like the bands that I was in. I was always like loved the drummer. I was always like, I had played with some good both the drummers in both bands were really killing. And I just loved the drums. I loved the drum set. I thought it was so cool. I think I was probably always sitting down on it, messing around. I can't really quite remember. But I didn't know anything about percussion at all. Like I didn't know what it was. And then I was in Burlington, Vermont. It was the Burlington Jazz Fest, I think. And there was this dude on stage playing 5 congas. And I was like, what are those cylindrical objects that he's beating? I was like, they sound amazing. What is that? And I went to him and it turns out he was this guy, Stuart Payton. I hope I'm getting his name right. I think so. And I was like, can I come study with you? I want to see what that's all about. And I went to his house and turns out he was the head of the Taiko Drumming Association in Burlington. Which is kind of random, but he was also an expert in Afro-Cuban percussion and was just like had a koi fish pond in his place. He was just a hip kid. He was just like way hipper than me. And I was just, who are you? What is your deal? And I was like, can I rent? He was like, yeah, rent this or borrow it. Or I think he charged me. So I took a conga home. And in that time I remember this other experience in Burlington where I was walking and I heard the sound of like machine guns. And I was like, what? It felt like it was machine guns. I was like, what is that? And then I followed the sound to an upstairs dance class, West African dance class with just djembes, like, people playing junjuns, djembes and all that Malay and stuff. The djembe was just like blazing and it was so powerful that I just like jaw hit the floor. So it's during those two experiences kind of got me into it. I was up in Burlington. Yeah. And it changed my life. Yeah.
That's wild.
Absolutely.
Like, did you gravitate towards it quickly, or did it take?
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I started practicing, but congas are like very hard to get a good sound out of it. So I took a few lessons, and then I kept practicing my slaps, and I couldn't really get anything. Got depressed, put it aside, didn't touch it for a while, and then but I was listening to so much music. Like my friend Eric and I were discovering so much music together. Like, you know, we grew up, he was like his parents were all like the Woodstock generation. So we knew a lot of stuff, but you know, we were discovering like Gilberto Gil and like Getz Gilberto and like other music from other parts of the world. And we were living and learning about flamenco and different techniques of playing the guitar. And one day, you know, I went to a party, and it was after I kind of had put the conga down, and I was like, oh, I can't do this. And then there was 2 congas on a stand, and I was just kind of walking by, and I was like, bop! And I hit it once, and it made a sound that sounded like the slap I was supposed to go. And I just got these crazy chills, and I was like, I got to go. And I left, went back to the house, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I sat down, and it was just a dead thump again. And I sat there for like, you know, whatever. I did whatever it took to get that sound again.
Yeah.
So it was, once you get a feeling of the taste of the correct sound on a hand drum, whether it's you're using finger technique or slaps and Afro-Cuban stuff, it's just like, or djembe, it's like, you know, it's the most amazing feeling. And you can tell from one hit from anybody, again, one percussionist, if they have a good sound. You know, it's just something to do, and it's not like, you know, it takes time.
Yeah. You know, there's something beautiful about world music that it's almost like I don't want to say like a Rosetta Stone for the soul, or for you know, just kind of the current of the soul. Mm-hmm. but it's something that like, you can play like some a world beat for somebody who has never heard it before, and they will find themselves dancing to it. Like, it's almost like hypnotic in a way that I've never understood. Like, and it's one of those things that everybody accepts, that they like whenever you play something for someone, they're like, yeah, I like that, but I'll never understand why it's not bigger in the US. Like, you know, it goes in ebbs and flows of like, you know, peak Graceland and, you know, some Dave Matthews tinge and stuff like that. You know, we talked about Rusted Root, but like it never really like dominated, and I'll never understand why, especially when it has such a grab on the spine, you know? Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, and it's influenced in, you see, its influence is buried deep in there. When you say world music, it's a very broad term, and I was very, like, in college. So after that year, like I dig what you're saying. After that year, I realized I didn't want to do this music anymore. I didn't want to live in a house with these 4 dudes anymore. And we all decided to go back to college. So, because we had done a year, or most of us did. And that was when like my whole path completely changed. I went back to Emerson in Boston and Berklee School of Music, and studied percussion with like some of the best dudes, you know, in a really special 3 years until I got my degree. And in that moment, you know, that period of growth was where you discover all of the like what you just talked about, like the depth of, because in the United States, it hasn't really taken off, or at least in, you know, the pop charts, or the top most popular songs in America or in Europe. And I wouldn't say in Europe, but everywhere else in the world, like, yes, world music, people, you know, music from different cultures, let's just say that is quite big, you know, in other countries for sure. Yeah. And, you know, it has to do with, because we're transplanted, you know, we're like a transplanted nation that's built on slavery. And, you know, it's kind of hard to be like, yeah, we're going to once again prop up this culture when we can't even really figure out our own, perhaps. But the groove, yes, it is, everything that is like diasporic music is really intrinsically built into all of our pop music anyway. It's there, right? It's the clave, right? It's the sense of binary tension and release that's built into every loop you hear in hip hop, and every pop song, you know, in the world has a busy side and a more simple side, and it's just there, and it's built into us as humans. Now
percussion itself can be it can be super deep. And I mean, I miss Shakti. Like I was out of town. Did you hear about that show? John
No.
McLaughlin and Shakti. They just did a reunion tour. It was at the Keswick. That's a whole nother style. Like there's just so many different styles, of world music. This is one that kind of defies what I just talked about. Of course, there's Eastern stuff that does not have clave based things. But when you get into like clave based things and you kind of study it for a bunch of years, you hear it everywhere. And it just deepens your sense of understanding of groove. You look at Quincy Jones's arrangements, like everything, you're talking about Headhunters, like everything has clave built into it. Every groove that has two sides and is evenly, that's in 2 or 4 or 6 or 12. But when you get into odd times, things change a bit. Question is, I'm just ranting at this point, but
No, it's awesome.
Your question was, why didn't it become super popular? And I would say that it did, but it's just more subtle, and it takes really deep listening and kind of understanding. Oh, like percussion is everything inside of everything has a part, everything plays a part. Those parts are interlocking. That comes from communal music making, where I'm not going to be redundant. I'm going to play a part that's slightly different than that fits with the other person. And that's human, If everyone got up there and played the same unison line, I mean, of course there's moments for unison lines, but it would be kind of boring, and it wouldn't be as progressive. And it wouldn't be for everybody, I really feel that the sense that that you get when you're playing percussion music, whether it be rumba or bata or any Afro-Cuban stuff, or you have layered percussion, even Middle Eastern stuff, you're really finding the spaces and understanding the distance between the notes, and when you play with other people, that's the conversation that you live, right? Drums are a language. And that's where I've lived the past 20 years. Absolutely.
Yeah, and like you can hear your influences from many different kind of percussion, like families essentially.
Right.
What was that path like of kind of discovering like, oh wait, this comes from this and this, like because you're obviously a deep student of it by this point. So like I guess what was the entry point? Like where did you start?
Well, the through line started, like, I guess I got back to Boston and was at Berkeley. And once I figured out how to do I was actually at Emerson College and I was a DJ on the radio. I was studying audio engineering there, and I was basically on their big radio station called WERS. And I became, throughout those 3 years, I was like the one of the coordinators of the Jazz Oasis program and one of the coordinators of the Gyroscope, which was the world music program. And so I was like on the air, and it was a big station. It was the biggest college station around. So people would come through and I would interview them, and they would just pour this knowledge on me. I mean, people like deep people, Oscar Castro Neves, Toots Thielmans, like just Charles Lloyd. I have like recordings of all of this, all these crazy like legends basically coming through and straightening me out. Like I was just this kid learning. And then that was my Emerson education. So I was still studying a lot of percussion, but that was over at Berkeley. I was studying with the Brazilian guy, I can name him, the Ghanaian, Joe Galeota, Mike Ringquist. My main influence, and I would say like my guru was Jamie Haddad, who is Paul Simon's percussionist for, I guess, 20, 30 years. He, just one of the most, he's a highly revered player and teacher of like all types of rhythmic expression. You mention his name, it's like with Ciro Batista or something. You mention his name and people just go, oh yeah, Jamie. He taught scores of students like me that went on to have incredible careers, and just cite his inspirational. And what he taught was the frame drum. Like he taught the you know what a frame drum is? Like he taught like the tar. In fact, this is the one that I got for his class from Cooperman Drums.
Oh wow!
Right, and that's all that's all we studied. It was like 15 people in the class doing like these like simple kind of groove things, and you would focus on not like speed or soloing at all. It was just, can you do that and feel the different pulses? Am I on the camera anymore?
Yeah, good.
It fell down. Can you do that and feel the different pulses that he would call, options on your feelings? And he's just an incredible improviser. So I would study with Jamie, and then I'd go and study with Joe Galeota and study West African Ewe Ghanaian drumming. And then I would go back to Emerson and do the radio show and meet this other guy. So it was just like, I couldn't believe my life. It was so rich. I was so lucky. I felt so lucky. And at the end of it, Joe Galeota, because I was in the Ewe drumming ensemble. Ewe drums are stick drums from the south of Ghana. And I can pull it out, but it's this music was, to get back to your question, the root of it all for me.
Yeah.
This was what called me, I was like, oh shit, because it had all the pulse perspectives. Like it had like different ways you could move your body against a bell pattern. And there was dance involved, like literally dancers in our performances. And yeah, it was just beautiful. That was the first draw. So I went to Ghana right after college with him, with Joe. It's an amazing drum maker, has a Ghanaian wife. He's like from New York or something. He's like this white dude. He might be from just outside Boston, but he married a Ghanaian woman. I think he's retired now. But him and his wife were building a house in Ghana, and he also brought students from Berkeley every year to this one village to study. And so I went there with him, and that changed my entire life. That was in 2003. And from there, it was just like I was like both musically, spiritually, emotionally, religiously, almost like I was sold. This was it.
Yeah.
This was the deepest human connection I've ever experienced. Like these people living and playing together. And so from there, lots of experiences there to talk about, but we were able to ship back a bunch of drums because he shipped a container. Like everyone who went brought a bunch of drums back. So I brought them back to Philly, got them prepared, painted them, and started the band Leanna Song. I don't know if you know Leanna Song.
I heard some of the stuff that's on Spotify.
Okay, good.
Volume 1.
Volume 1, cool. Yeah, Volume 2 is done. It's only on my website though. But so Leanna, let me just mention, this is the through line that you ask about. So when I'm in the rainforest there and we're just doing a little tour or whatever, the guide is like, oh man, there's like vines in the trees about 30 feet up that are like Tarzan's kind of vines, but like all these animals live in it. And it's like this whole ecosystem. And he's like, yeah, it's a symbol of unity. And I was like, oh, that's really beautiful. Like it's all the trees are tied together. He's like, yeah, it pulls the weaker trees down, but it holds the like, it's so heavy that it can pull down the weaker trees, but at the same time, it actually holds up other trees. And it was just a beautiful metaphor and for unity and interdependence and interconnectivity. And so I started, I don't know when it came to it, I was like, oh, Leanna Song. And so that's how I started that group. And it's been like a whole like guiding principle, if you will, for my whole life as a percussionist, almost as a musician, but in particular as like a percussionist, is that we're all connected through songs in some way. And it has been how I based like all my education, teaching people and learning from other people. It was just, once you know that you're connected, and I think in America, we don't really feel connected to each other as much, at least in 2000, during the 2023 or what, in the last 20 years. It's like you're connected to your friends and you're connected to people through music if you own the same recorded sounds. But when do you get together and really, really circle up and connect? It's rare, I would say. And so I was looking for that in my life, I suppose. And this music helped me to find it.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I actually have had this conversation a few times recently with people. We were talking about like the kind of energy when something out of the ordinary happens. So like a hurricane or like, my block floods, and during the tornado that hit a few years ago, like we lost a bunch of stuff in our basement. Nothing like, that displaced us or anything, but like, when that happened, like everybody in the neighborhood, like neighbors who I've never talked to in my life and all, we were all like just very connected and kind of open and sharing. And it was like one of those moments of like, why can we not kind of keep that connection going in this this society? I talked to Andrew Duhan, who lived in New Orleans during Katrina, and he said the same thing. There was this sense of we're all one, that slowly, as time distances itself from that, dissipated. Like, there's still that kind of we live that shared experience, but it's all gone. And like I feel like the pandemic, same thing. Like we have these moments, but for some reason, this society just kind of can only live in that for a small amount of time before it gravitates back to its own kind of egotistical, self-centered, self-reliant structure. It's weird.
Absolutely. Yeah. Did you feel that during the pandemic? I know I did. You got closer to. The people that you're kind of stuck with, you get close to. You really, and you. It's kind of nice, It was really nice for a while.
Even like, I had mentioned I was doing live streams. Like, it was just one night I turned my phone on and was playing guitar down here in the basement, and then like 4 or 5 people watched, and then I was like, all right, I guess I'll do this next Friday. If you want to join, and then it became like a thing, and it was like this, like it was almost more fulfilling than any show I've played with like hundreds of people, like because we were all kind of just like in our homes, just kind of connected, and that was kind of what reinvigorated my love affair with music, and what birthed this podcast and me wanting to talk to other musicians and stuff, is because like something happened to I know it happened to me, but I feel like it happened to a lot of people where I feel like we started to appreciate music and musicians more, because there was the possibility that like, hey, we might not get another live show. You know what I mean? Like there was that fear for a while of like, is this it? Is this all, did we waste it? And like, and I cried actual tears the first live show I went to, like, just because I was like, man, I really didn't think I was ever going to be inside seeing, music again.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But like that connection, and like you said, like specifically in very rhythmic music and stuff like that, with bands that are larger than like a 3-piece or a 4-piece, but not excluding those, but like when you have all of these people kind of dialed in and communicating in the same kind of patterns, and I see you don't have anything in this space, let me come color over here a little bit, and adding and layering, like that's the beauty, man. That's the good stuff.
It sure is. Absolutely. Yeah. And when your life depends on someone else's life, that they're going to do your life, or at least quality of life, depends on someone else, and someone is depending on you, it seems that we're getting way further away from that, or we're depending on people that are not even in the same landmass.
Right.
Just to have the things that we want. And nobody really knows how to do anything anymore. It's tough. And so music was for me, it was like, I have to learn how to do as much as I can,
Yeah.
about that. And I felt that music was what would keep us drawn together. It was the only way I knew how to do it. Some people start a nonprofit. We almost did, actually. We were trying to. Leanna Song in Northern Liberties in in 2004, 2005, we started a band. And if people, they can look it up. There's some pictures of the group online, and we played at Ortlieb's. Do you remember Ortlieb's?
Yeah.
All the time. And we played there like once a month or twice a month for a bunch of years. And we would pack that place with like 8-10 people on stage. And it was just a ton of people in the really, really small place. And so what we would do is fuse the traditional Ewe Ghanaian drumming with Western instruments. So when I was in Ghana, we studied the jeel, which is like a Ghanaian balafon. And I woke up, I had my guitar. I think I brought a guitar on the trip. I brought and so I was hearing them play in the morning, and I picked up the guitar, started playing in B minor. The jeel is tuned to like a B major pentatonic. Sometimes there's like a little bit of a minor thing, so if we put a minor over it, it's kind of nice. And I did like a little chord progression that went along with the song that they were singing. And I was like, oh my God, just moving chords behind this song and coloring it differently. And it was just this moment where you're like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do for the next bunch of years. So that's what Leanna Song really is like me taking and studying, not superficially, but studying these ancient songs deeply with as many people as I can on the planet. The songs themselves, and then finding different ways to harmonize them or voice them, and then creating experiences where we can all sing them, play them together, that are not necessarily religious, but are more like a secular situation. Sure. With respect to the religious. And I did get into that out of respect. But, we were mostly a party band and a cultural, I would say, we were playing the Penn museums, the art museums. We were playing cultural fests and things like this. And people were hiring us to bring a little bit of the world music, is basically what they would see us as. But the band itself was really just a bunch of friends getting together to love and appreciate and study something that wasn't like our own. Yeah. And I was the teacher because I knew the most. But then like Chucky, Chucky passed away, but he came and he was this, incredible master drummer, Chucky Joseph. He joined the group. And so eventually I ran out of things to teach. The Ghanaian stuff, I only knew so much. And I also was in love with Afro-Cuban bata drumming. So in all of those songs, really were the Orisha music was knocking me, it was pulling me in. And so that brought, speaking of which, here's an incredible drummer. That music, that Jawn was what really brought my spirit into it even further. And I'd say my musical mind as well. Like I was able to, and also I just didn't want to be like a regular dude sitting and playing the guitar. Like I wanted more. I had a deeper connection to a whole nother world of music, and I wanted to do different things. So I put this was before Hennessey Bonfires. Yeah, this was just Leanna Song's first record, Orisha Love Songs Volume 1. So I took a lot of my favorite Afro-Cuban tunes, put different chords behind them, and self-produced this record where sometimes there's 10 people singing the chorus. It goes in and out of the Ghanaian drumming and into the Afro-Cuban drumming, but it has some incredible like really great improvisers on it. Brian Marcella plays piano on and melodica on stuff. He's Ciro Batista's like right hand musician. Orlando Fiol, who was my main teacher of the Afro-Cuban stuff, plays piano on both volumes. And I mean, he was my main teacher. He's alive. He's a blind musician. I say this only to color the fact that his other senses were just like, he was I would say savant. I hate to say, like, but he was a master at so many styles of music: boogie woogie piano, jazz, classical. He played tabla, he played sarod, he played bata drums. Like, this dude was, and he moved down to, but I studied with him and got grants to study with him for 3 or 4 years, weekly. And he plays piano on the records. Jason Fraticelli, incredible Philly bassist, plays upright on it. And I'm really proud of that record. If anyone hasn't heard it, it's called Orisha Love Songs Volume 1. And then Volume 2 is a more recent one, and I'm gonna release it in the next few months on Spotify. It's only on ShawnHennessey.com on the website. But it's more electronic. It's more like me overdubbing a lot of stuff, but it's not true. It's just too much to get into with one breath. That part of that was recorded in Cuba, and there's a whole nother piece of it that I just feel like I'm rambling, so I'm gonna stop.
I love it though. No, man, it's awesome. No, it's like this. That's the beauty of this show, and that's like what much, I look for, man. Is like I look like you have a passion, and like it's to me that's what I want to hear. Like, I love hearing people talk about the things they're passionate about, like, because that's, to me, that, like, you can hear it in the music. Like, it's not just, like, hey, let me, and I'm not saying anybody does this, but like, hey, let me just put together a song for, a song is what it is. But like, there's love, and you can hear the love behind what you do. And I think that's absolutely beautiful. You mentioned teaching. You are at Germantown Friends, right?
Yes,
and have been. What was that like? Kind of going back to where you started. Almost. It
was great. It's been. This is my 20th year there.
Wow.
It's been. I got right when I got back with those drums from Ghana and started Lay on a Song. I also started teaching kids at that school as an after-school program, World Percussion. I started the World Percussion program, and and then it's just grown from there. Now it's like you can take it from 2nd grade all the way through 12th grade.
That's cool.
It was amazing. It was. I think they brought me in because they were doing some cultural stuff for the 3rd and 4th grade, and they just wanted a drummer, or I don't even know. Like, I don't even know how the connection was made, but it has been the foundational. Like, it's where my educational heart, like, it's been my educational home of where I like can put my love for being able to have given this music to experience in my life, and to be able to pass it to a younger generation has been a dream come true. Thousands of students at this point have gone through the program, and it's really and the program is like, based on Lay on a Song. It's that concept of us all being connected, but it's a mixed world format. So the kids, we do 4 cultures. It's all diasporic. It's like West African drumming, Afro-Cuban, or just Cuban drumming. I'd say Caribbean as we explore a little bit more, Brazil, and then the Mediterranean region. So we'll have all those specific instruments. 7 doumbeks, like a set of surdus, 6 congas, 5 djembes, and then like a bell rack and some shakers, and they all get together and we like play some traditional stuff, but we mix some stuff up, and we'll play this rhythm from this place, this rhythm from this place, and I'll teach them what I know about it. We'll watch some videos about it. We have special guests come in. It's really been amazing, and they've been the school's been really supportive and helped me to develop the program over the years. So honestly, I teach what I love, and I teach what I do. I do what I love. So I can't ask for a better job.
It's beautiful. It's awesome to be able to not just create, but also give back and kind of bring people along, and kind of expose people to things they may never have heard in their lives,
Right, because that's what you see when you're there. That when I say there, I'm saying in communities that are really connected, that are still connected. you see that it starts at that age. You know what I mean? It starts, it's there in the beginning. It's when the kids sitting next to their parents or like whatever, the kids in the community, and they just pick up a shaker, you know, and start playing, and without being really taught. And if they don't get it right, they get yelled at, and then they, you know, they try to get, you know, it's like there's just, I saw that experience happen in so many different cultures that I study, where it's just like I grew up in my mom's house listening to recorded albums. Like we grew up listening to CDs, and like that like experience of hearing, you know, Yellow Brick Road, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, like whatever, these tunes, they stay with you because they're imprinted on you when you're younger. And this is something that acoustic music by rote was imprinted on human beings for millions, you know, thousands of years, tens of thousands of years. And this is what we don't have now. This is what's changing for us. Yeah, live music. Oh, I love going and seeing a live band. That's great. The reason we love it is because it's activating a different part of our brain that's been dormant. Because how we experience music is from putting on something digital, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just and hearing a piece of time that was once recorded at one time that one person thought was cool, played over and over and over again, never changing. A digital copy. And I love it. I love recording. It's great. I'm happy to be in this age. But there has to be a balance.
Yep.
I feel I don't want to lose that. You know what I mean? That live element of humans playing together. And we did. You know, we almost did in the pandemic. You know what I mean? We weren't allowed to be together. So that's why I think the communal drumming experience, whether you're in second grade or 60, is something that everybody should experience in their life, so we can remember who, you know, we were. And whether it's you're sitting around a fire, I mean, we're talking caveman, like we're talking sitting around a fire with a guitar is the same thing. You don't have to know traditional West African drumming to experience this. Like you can have a tambourine, a shaker, and be around a fire and experience it. But just turning off the electronics, whatever, let's just get together and sing an actual song, is I think something special that we should hold on to as a species.
Definitely. I could not disagree. Like that's absolutely beautiful. Like so how did you kind of become the kind of go-to guy for auxiliary, like, you know, just through the connections of teachers and all, or?
Oh, I think it would be from let's see, you know, I mean, I guess when I was hanging with people like Pablo Batista, who is like, he's Alicia Keys' percussionist, Jamie Haddad, Paul Simon's percussionist. And when you start to love all these cultures and study all these different rhythms from different parts of the world, and you can actually play, then you can do a lot of different styles of music. Mm-hmm. And so then, you know, like when you're an auxiliary percussionist, like I was always interested in doing multiple parts at once. I love polyrhythm. So I studied that forever. And it's like, it sort of was a meditation for me, is being able to immerse myself. And I learned that from Jamie. It's like hearing, and that's like, you know, an Indian thing. It's like it's a sense of keeping tala, or keeping time with one hand, or usually another human does it, but you know, and I always loved that, and I would always try to do too much, just to my detriment. Like I would lose the groove many times, but I was just too into it, man. I was just obsessed, and so I would say people would just ask me to play with their stuff, and I would, like, Leanna Song was too big of a band to really keep together. It was hard. Yeah. People moved on, and so I started playing as a sideman and played with a lot of different people. And I think it was also, the polyrhythmic. I was also an accompanist for modern dance at Temple for a bunch of years. And that helped me to kind of put together the four-limb independence thing. But then you just meet people when you're out playing that you just know Philly musicians. It's a small town.
Yeah.
And you just meet people in New York and Philly, and then some of those people go to LA, and then you know someone in LA, and then you go and so people, and if you can tour. Before I had kids, I was able to tour more. You don't really want to when you have kids as much, because you just
Sure.
like, man, I don't want to be far away. But yeah, I was able to travel the world with percussion, with a lot of different groups. And I mean, I was evenly, but the whole time, Nate, I was doing guitar, writing songs, and gigging as a sideman, like probably equally.
Yeah.
Like I was just doing it all equally, like around the like jack of all trades, but like just sort of making money when you can. I don't know how to say it. It's like I was like, yeah, okay, I can do that gig. Oh, that's okay. Let's do that. From Bollywood to Brazilian stuff. I was playing drum set, guitars. I don't know. And then more recently, in the last 5 years, some like bigger sort of gigs I played was with Uprooted, Michael Glabicki, and Bagiti Kumalo. I play with him, and I'm a big part of the Graceland band. And then with Don McCluskey, which has been really fun. I don't know. It's about the hang, really. It's about like, do you get along with the people, and can you make it better? You know, can you make the music better?
Yeah.
By what you do, and can you listen? And can you make decisions on the spot that serve the music? It's always going to come back to being able to serve the music. And if you can do that successfully, I think your phone's not going to stop ringing, in a way, you know? And that's what I learned from Jamie, is like, it's really not about that little solo you do in the middle of the set. You know, it's about the other 85 minutes where you're grooving and making the drummer sound better and making everybody play at a higher level, because you're more tapped into the groove that helps everybody else feel relaxed and improvise, being able to improvise and express themselves, and even sing the same thing they sang the song that they wrote in 1995, but when they play it with you, they feel, oh wow, it has a new kind of life to it. And that's what I always try to do, is just listen and say, how can I help this song to, you know, have more life, or to get better. And that's it, man. That's what I try to do.
You know, you'd mentioned earlier about putting 1208 up under your name, and then
Right.
you know, you also got Bonfire and Leanna's song. How do you let the music kind of dictate what project it's going to kind of be, or
Yeah. Yeah, good question. That's one of my hardest branding issues, is that Hennessey Bonfire is, the first album came out, and I came up, and that name was essentially, it came from I was leading a drum circle bonfire for a Jewish Lag BaOmer festival in Northern Liberties that the Rockin' Rabbi or something was playing at. And whoever put the flyer up all over town, it said, Shawn Hennessey Drum Circle Bonfire. And I just thought it was hilarious. So I was like, that's the name of the band, Shawn Hennessey Drum Circle Bonfire. And then eventually it became Hennessey Bonfire, because that became my like temporal, for lack of a better word, like earthly pursuit of expression, where I wanted to write songs about my experience, like me and you, or my relationships, my like human connection to and the guy from Northeast Philly that, you know, grew up on grunge, and, you know, had lesbian parents, and, you know, recovering Catholic with like big hair or whatever. This is my thing, the songwriter in me. That's my songwriter stuff that I created from myself. And then Leanna Song is anything that has to do with me playing percussion with other people, or teaching percussion, or recording percussion, and using and being inspired by other older musics and diasporic musics. So anything that I do that's like soundtrack based, or lay on a song records, I kind of will put out under that name. And Shawn Hennessey I was like, I have to put, a couple of years ago, I thought I had to put it all under one name. And then I struggled with that for like a year. So I made a new artist online called, and there are songs, like I released an album under Shawn Hennessey that doesn't really fit. It's called Healing. And a friend of mine, another teacher of mine, Elizabeth Sayer, incredible batalera, she got into a car accident at some point, and I was making a lot of loops at the time, and I made her a short album for her to heal. And it has like songs called Antibodies and Broken Bones and different things, and it's just like this EP. So that's like out under my name. And those are the three, but I'd say my main two, and like I probably will put out other things under that name that are kind of outliers, I suppose.
Yeah, that makes
but
sense.
Those are the two. I decided to just stick with the two that I had. I mean, I just have such a strong connection to those two names. Yeah, that's the way I have it organized. It's a little confusing.
No, it makes sense. Like when you break it down like that, it absolutely makes sense.
And lay on a song would be it's my also spiritual thing, connected to my ancestors, connected to other human, history that is passed on. I also became, I went pretty deep into the religion of Santeria, and went to Cuba 3 years ago before I released Volume 2, and became Omoanya, meaning that I can play the consecrated drums. I do play ceremonies in Philly, and not as often as I just can't do it as often as I'd like. But I am a ceremonial drummer in the Afro-Cuban tradition, and that is not because I just want to be cool. It's because I have like a very deep experience. I've had experiences that have pulled me towards it, visions, signs that have kept me, that have opened that door for me and that path, and I've gone down it. And so that all of that experience influences my Leona song. So it's, but I am torn between the two. Honestly, I'll spend like months and months and months working on Leona song music, and then I won't, and then I'll go back and be like, you know what, I really got to do some original stuff, and then I'll go back and I'll write some original stuff. And then I'm so tired of myself. I'm so tired of myself, and it's just like, go back to God, go back to yourself, go back to God, go back to yourself. That's where that's my ebb and flow that I've been doing for about 10, 12 years.
Yeah, it's the duality of the internal and the external. It's just I think so. Yeah. It totally makes sense to me.
Nice.
At this time, you want to go through my little jauntlet questionnaire? These are my.
Sure, let's do it.
These are my special my special boys.
Oh my God, you gave this to me. I have not prepared, but am I allowed to look at it?
Yeah,
or it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I like the little design. It's cool.
We'll burn through it.
The Jauntlet.
It starts with the one-hit wonders, and the first one, Billy Joel or Elton John?
It's tough. I'm gonna go with Billy.
Yeah,
but my second concert was when they toured together.
Oh, nice.
So I gotta kind of give them an even.
Yeah, all right, I dig that. I could dig it.
I'll choose the other ones, yeah.
Number 2, Debbie Harry or Joan Jett?
Joan Jett.
Yeah? It's a local
no
girl.
reason.
Yeah, well, she's local. You just give it that. There you go.
Yeah.
Number 3, Aretha Franklin or Tina Turner?
Aretha.
Nirvana or Pearl Jam?
Nirvana.
I guessed that with the Unplugged.
For sure. It's a shame, though. It's really a shame, that he died. He was a father figure of mine. Really. I mean, not the best father figure, but I remember crying pretty hard when he died.
Yeah,
for sure.
I was I remember I made I had this whole kind of mantra that I just kept saying over and over again, because I don't know if you remember like that they were like feuding with Guns N' Roses right before he like passed away.
No,
It was over
no.
some kind of slight backstage or something like that. But like I remember walking
Oh,
around going like, why Kurt, why not Axel? Like that was like my whole
I know.
but
Oh, Kurt. But
yeah.
yeah, so I choose Nirvana.
Oh, dig it, dig it. Janis Joplin or Stevie Nicks?
Janis, but I can't listen to Janis a lot. But I respect Janis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I hear
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go.
Beatles, next one for
Yeah, I
sure.
was just gonna say Beatles or Stones.
100%.
I've been asking people this recently. Have you heard this new Stones song?
No.
They just released it yesterday. It's called "Angry," I think, or something like that. And
Cool.
it's like it's a really basic track. And the first time I heard it, I was like, whatever. But
Yeah.
a day later, it's been like stuck in my head, and I was like, all right, you guys are still effective.
You're still doing it. Sure.
Yeah. The last one of the one hit wonders: Bohemian Rhapsody or Stairway to Heaven?
Bohemian Rhapsody for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is yeah, absolutely. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, they're both mammoth tunes, and they both deserve their respect for sure. I think I can actually play Stairway to Heaven where I can't play Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of but I'd still would choose Bohemian Rhapsody.
Dig it. The next section is the top 10 countdown. As I said, you can use Jawn to be whatever you want it to be. Number one, what was your first Jawn? What was the first thing you were obsessed with when you were a kid?
Oh, it can be whatever I want. The
Yeah.
top 10. Oh, interesting. Wow. I would say first Jawn was probably ice hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah, or roller
what position
hockey.
did you play?
Hockey. I was left wing.
Yeah.
Because I'm left-handed, which is odd in hockey, but nothing else.
Huh.
So I was left wing, and I think my first I do this. This is my Jawn, was being like an ice hockey player from when I was like 8 or 10 until I got my guitar when I was 13.
That's wild. That's absolutely wild. Number two, what's your current Jawn? What are you into right now?
Ice hockey, actually. No, I did get some gear, and I did play a couple weeks ago, and it is not as easy.
No.
It is a hard sport, but I would say my current Jawn is my family.
Oh,
Absolutely,
it's
I have my 2 daughters, 5-year-old Aya and 10-year-old Belle, and my wife Iris, and we live here in Mount Airy, and that is my Jawn. This is my Jawn.
It's absolutely beautiful. You mentioned getting hockey equipment. I was rollerblading at a local roller rink.
Oh yeah,
by
you're a
me.
rollerblader?
Yeah. I used to.
Cool,
I used to
man.
try to be one of those aggressive rails and stuff like that. But
Oh, that I can't do.
yeah, not anymore. Not anymore, my friend. But
Yeah,
but,
dude.
but
Falling, it hurts now.
yeah, it does. But and healing from it takes a lot longer. But we were at
Exactly,
a local
yeah.
rink, and there was a stick that somebody had left behind, and a indoor or a roller puck. And I picked it up,
the
and
roller puck, right.
I started trying to play for the first time in probably 30 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And I could not pick it back up. Like I was just like, I used to. I swear I used to be more coordinated than this, but I was losing that puck
Sure.
left and right, man.
Yeah, roller hockey is so fun. I mean, if you do ever, rollerblade up around here or whatever, let me know in Mount Airy.
Yeah.
I don't go rollerblading with people, but I am teaching my kids to rollerblade, and it's fun. I think it's really good for you to learn how to have that sort of balance, man.
Yeah, I
it's
used
really
to.
good for
I
you.
mean, like that used to be my mode of transport. Like I didn't get my driver's
Yeah.
license until I was like 31, and I was like, I would take my blades
Wow.
everywhere, man. Like,
Oh,
and,
man.
take them
Yeah.
take the train somewhere, and then just throw the
Totally.
shoes in the backpack and take off.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I can dig that. Yeah, man.
Number 3, what was your first concert?
Oh, I believe it was Joan Armatrading.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I believe it was that. But one of the earlier ones I remember was this Billy Joel Stormfront
Okay.
concert, where he actually had a helicopter on stage.
Hell.
Like he had, it was, the Vietnam song.
Yeah. Good Night, Saigon.
Good Night, Saigon. It was just like, yeah, there was a helicopter on the stage.
Wow.
I think in my brain. But first one was Joan Armatrading, I think. I'll have to check with my mom.
That's awesome. I just I forget which album I just picked up on vinyl. I found it at a used bin, and man, she is just still going strong too. Just really powerful.
Yeah, really. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I should check that out. I had no idea. Oh man,
it's great. It's great. Number 4 was the last concert you were at.
Oh God, you're gonna hate me because I don't really remember because I do too many concerts.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm going to remember one. Last concert I can really, it's popping into my head. Well, I'm just going to give a shout out to The Slip. I don't know if you know those guys from Boston, some friends of mine. I saw The Slip at Brooklyn Bowl a while back. Honestly, Nate, I need to get out more. See more concerts. I need to get out more. But cool. Yeah, actually, if it comes to me in the next few minutes, I'll say it. I know I have been to a couple, but
it's really funny you say that because I go to so many shows too that when I ask this question, I'm always like terrified that someone's going to ask me because I'm like I don't remember. Like I think honestly, like actually the last show I might have seen might have been you with Don at the Concert for the Stars a few weeks ago. I think that might be it. This will air after it, but I'm super stoked for the Exponential Music Festival. That's going to be really great. We're excited for that too. I'm super stoked for that, and I'm so glad you guys are getting to kind of get that stage, man, because you guys are going to sound so good there. Are you going to go all 3 days? Or is this something you go to all the time? Yeah. We're my wife and I back in 2014, the Exponential Music Festival is what we considered like our first date, essentially. So we do it every year, and we do every day that we can make it. So I remember the do the next one. Favorite concert. Go ahead. Yeah. Number 5. What was your favorite concert? I have to say American Utopia. David Byrne. Yeah? Yeah, have you seen that? I have not. He performed it at the Exponential Music Festival. Over at the Mann Center. Or not the Mann Center. Whatever the pavilion it was called at the time. BB&T, I think, at the time. That's right. He did do it there. But it was like a downpour, and we had lawn seats, and so we ended up leaving early, and I missed it. But I heard that was phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It was one of my favorites. Probably my favorite concert that comes to mind. It's awesome. The moving drummers is just a beautiful concept. And you gotta try to get an audition and get in there. Is what you gotta do. I wish. My friend Tim is one of the drummers, and he did get me backstage. I got to meet David Byrne. No way. And I was so starstruck. It was like I was like, I don't get starstruck, but I was starstruck. It was just like he was the sweetest guy, and I regretted what I said to him. It was just, I was like, oh God, I could have said so many much cooler things. He's just, because you just really respect all that he's done. Yeah. Hell yeah. No, there are guys, and he's definitely one of them who could make the coolest person turn into a dork, Yeah. Well, I love that show, and I highly recommend anybody watch the video even. It's incredible. That's awesome. Number 6, who have you never seen live that you wish you would have? They can be living or dead. What's going to say? Radiohead. Yeah? Yeah. I'm going to see them. I've never seen them. Have you? No, I haven't. Yeah. I've had a chance, I want to say around Pablo Honey. We were supposed to go to a show, but something fell through or something. But I still have never remedied that, man. Like, yeah, they are I think they might be number 10. If maybe, but they are, they are the mainstay in my collection of what I listen to. I have, like I say, you get attached to these recordings, and they color your whole life, and they color different things that happen to you. And
I've had some really wonderful experiences with Radiohead's albums. So,
that's great. I love it. Number 7, name an unappreciated Jawn, something you wish had more attention to it.
Oh, I'm going to have to go ahead and say global warming on that one. You know, just like I would say that, the Earth, I guess it would be called.
Yeah.
That's the unappreciated Jawn right there. I would have to go ahead and say
facts.
that.
Absolute facts. Number 8, what's your favorite album?
I'm going to go ahead and say at this point, Bon Iver.
Yeah?
Because I recently was in Vermont with the kids, and I went to a CD store, and I was like, I'm going to teach them how to listen to an album straight through on the way back, because I have a CD player still in my car. And I was like, I just found 4 albums. I bought Peter Gabriel's Shaking the Tree, 10 Summoner's Tales, Vampire Weekend's self-titled, and then Bon Iver. And we listened to a few of, and I mean, that record, it did win Best Record of the Year. And Holocene was Best Song of the Year, I think, when it came out. So I'm going to say that's top 3. And I can't even name the other 2 right now. But absolutely phenomenal, top to bottom album, I think.
I dig it. It. Number 9, name an artist whose output you'll consume anything they release.
See, I can't say that about Radiohead, even though I do absolutely love Radiohead.
Do you dig the Smile stuff?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Consume is a tough word. God, I can't do it off the top of my head. I'm trying to think if there's something that I can like look up. You know, it's hard to say, man. Yeah. I really cannot say that I would consume everything, but and there's so much new music that I don't know about that I'm trying to, but I have been listening to, my friend has got me into Andy Schauf lately, which is some interesting stuff. I probably won't consume everything that he puts out. I would say Iron and Wine is a good guess. Like I will, Sam Beam, is that his name? I think he'll probably always put good shit out. I think forever. Anytime there was like a new Iron and Wine song comes up, I'll be like, I'm going to listen to that. Yeah.
I dig it.
Yeah.
Oh, good answer.
Sure.
And of course, number 10, what is your favorite Jawn of all time? Can be anything you want it to be.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and say Sound.
Oh, beautiful answer.
Yeah. His favorite Jawn of all time. Sound, vibration, frequencies, and sound is God, not a Brahma. That's what I learned when I read the deepest book, Mysticism of Sound and Music. If you have a need for going and exploring how sound can be, how it's experienced by the Sufi, it's a beautiful book, and I teach with it. It helps to influence my teaching. Of course, I am but a lowly musician from Philly. I didn't grow up in a temple or anything, but this book puts me there sometimes. And so I would say Sound as God would be my favorite Jawn of all time.
Beautiful answer. So you just put the latest Bonfire album out in June.
Yeah.
June,
that's right.
End of June. What are you working on anything else currently? Well,
we have a show. I've been doing some release shows. I have a show tomorrow at the Falser Club in East Falls. We're with Yuba. Sissoko is opening. This fantastic kora player that just moved to Philly. Incredible kora player. Opens for us, and then we're doing a show there. And I have booking some concerts here and there. Music wise, I am going to put out that second volume of Leona Song, Volume 2, which is an Orisha. It's called Orisha Love Songs Volume 2, the Orun Cantado, it's done. It's the order of Orishas that you play in a ceremony in Havana, Cuba, top to bottom, but with jazz instrumentation and folk and different types of harmony, electronic grooves on it. I'm super proud of this work, all done and completely in Ableton Live. And I recorded half of that track is with Naivi Angarica. I went to Cuba and recorded her singing a lot of the lead parts. So it's me singing sometimes and her singing sometimes. And Bagidi Kumalo plays bass all over it. Orlando Field's back on it. So I'm very proud of this. I'm going to make another stink about it online when I release it. But I think the next project that I'm really going to focus on is going to be an all percussion album.
Yeah.
Where it's just grooves. And I've done a duet. I did a few duets this summer where I brought percussionists that I admire and respect into the studio, and I set up either a click or maybe not a click, and I mic'd everything, and we went around and played different shit and created these like sort of percussion soundscapes. Just talked, you know, and I have some from I have one with Andres from El Caribe Funk, one with Alex Shaw from Hello Brazil, who's another fantastic percussionist from Philly. Anyway, I just feel like I need to do a record without words that's just grooves, where I can put in it just put in all these drums that want to mix together. So I don't know what I'll call it. I probably will call it Underlay on a Song, maybe. But I think that's the next project next recording project that I'm going to start doing. And
dude, that sounds killer.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. And I mean, another thing that I'm doing right now is I'm getting my master's at Berkeley Online in film scoring. It's a combination. It's called Interdisciplinary Music Studies. It's film scoring, music business, music technology, and songwriting. So it's this amazing program. I'm my second year in, and I'm starting to write music for film and do sync and all that.
That's cool. You know, that was actually something I was going to ask, was if you had ever been approached to kind of do a soundtrack or anything like that.
Oh, the only soundtracks I've done have been live installation art, like with live video for like festivals that are at live performance with dancers and stuff. Yeah. But I don't know what people are waiting for. Like,
well, you heard it here. Give them a call.
I'm ready to do it. And I'm excited about all of that. And I really thank you for calling me. I know we probably went over a lot, but thank you so much, man.
No, appreciate man, it's beautiful. So if these folks want to track you down, what's the best way to get all your goods on the internet?
You can go to ShawnHennessey.com. That's Shawn with a W, and then Hennessy with as many letters as you can fit in there. And that's why my show schedule's there. Please, all my music's available there. Please sign up for like the mailing list. I'm trying to grow my YouTube as well. That is getting a lot of response, and I really would like to be able to put out some more. I have a lot of beautiful videos shot from over the years that I'm also going to be releasing on YouTube. So that's where people can definitely see a lot of I have cameras set up, big stages, from percussion from behind, and that series that I mentioned with the percussionists is all video, is like multi-camera shot as well. So, but yeah, ShawnHennessey.com, and yes, drop me a line.
I love it, man. Thank you so much, Shawn, for doing this. Thanks for chatting with me. And beyond all of that, thanks for not just the music you're creating, but the music you're passing on to so many other people, and kind of
Thank you, brother.
keeping a good rhythm, man. I love it.
Thank you, Nate. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
My thanks again to Shawn for joining me on the show today. You can find the latest Hennessey Bonfire album, Awake in the Boulevard, on all major streaming services. Visit his website at www.shawnhennessey.com and follow him on the socials at Hennessey Bonfire on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, and at Hennessey Bonfir, no E, on Twitter X. Links to all of those, as always, are included here in the show notes. And you can catch Shawn laying down percussion out there for Don McCloskey. Big shouts out to those guys. They just rocked Radio City Music Hall, opening up for the It's Always Sunny podcast. How amazing is that? And if you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to the Yo, That's My Jawn podcast wherever you get your podcast from. And people, it is not too late to get yourself a super awesome Jawn Scout Merit Badge for Citizenship of the World just by rating and reviewing us. Don't forget to visit www.yothat'smyjawn.com for articles, merchandise, and links to all of the previous episodes of this podcast. And while you are there, be sure to sign up for our mailing list to get all of the updates delivered straight into your inbox. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/YoThat'sMyJawn for updates and live streams. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter X at Yo That's My Jawn, and search Yo That's My Jawn on YouTube to find the Yo That's My Jawn YouTube channel. Like and subscribe the heck out of that ish. We want to hear from you. Reach out, and touch some Jawn. Oops All Bards is out this Thursday, and I put a lot of work into this one, so I really hope you check it out. Blue skies. Until next time, everybody.
Hey yo, displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure. Your taste in music doesn't have to be.
Yo, That's My Jawn is a Lonely Monk production, written and produced by yours truly, Nate Runkle. Theme song by Phil Tyler Music featuring Nate 3.0. Special thanks to Fox Run Brands, DX Ferris, Andrew Scott, Natalie Runkle, and the incredibly brilliant and wickedly stunning Katie Daubney. If you or anyone you know has any ideas they would like to share or any guests they would like to hear on the podcast, please feel free to reach out to us at yothat'smyjawn@gmail.com. Or you can leave an audio message for us and possibly hear yourself on a future episode by visiting anchor.fm/ytmj/message. Until next time, be sure to displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure and shout to the world, Yo, that's my Jawn.